What's up guys, Eric here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make decals on your Silhouette Cameo so you can personalize Christmas ornaments to look just like these. So to make your decals in Silhouette Studio, I'm using Designer Edition. Go ahead and in this case I'm doing a bunch of names, and what I've done so far is these are all the names, and I basically placed them. You can see the silhouette of my cutting mat with the grid pattern on here just so I have reference. All the different names and the different fonts that I wanted. So basically just use your font function here or your text function, click a name or click us on a space, type the name out. And then what I did was I highlighted the name itself, and then I colored it black just for now so it's easier to see. And then I just went over to my text style window or tab and then just picked a font that I liked and I thought was appropriate, knowing the personalities of the folks that I'm making these decals to go on my ornaments for. Anyway, so once you have that done, you can see that what I've done is gone ahead and placed it specifically in areas on my cutting mat where I set up my vinyl. So once I have that all set and ready to go, and I'm comfortable with that, what I'm going to do next is go to Send. And then you can see the names are highlighted in red, meaning tool 1 is selected, but no items have been highlighted. You can't necessarily see it here, but if I highlight these, you'll see little gray squares now around that. So right now, all those items are set to cut edge, and what I want to do is just regular cut. And so now it's a little bit easier to see. I can see exactly in the red where they're going to cut. And then what I need to do is make sure my settings are correct for cutting. I'm using tool 1, which is my auto blade. And so I'm using Oracal 651, and I know that Oracal 651 on my particular machine, which is a Silhouette Cameo 3, cuts practically well or very well with no issues using vinyl glossy settings, which is a preset settings that comes with Designer or with Silhouette Studio. And so I selected that. I want to make sure I'm selecting cut and not sketch. And then I'm selecting auto blade and not my ratchet blade. All right, and so for this particular, the defaults for this setting are depth of 1, force of 10, and a speed of 5. I'm just going to do one pass. I've done numerous decals like this before, and I know that this is perfectly fine. So once I've got all that set up and ready to go, what I want to do is make sure that my Silhouette Cameo 3 in this case is ready, and it's showing me it's ready. I'm connected via Bluetooth. You can do hardwire connection. Either way, you want to make sure that it's ready. And once you're ready to go, all you got to do is hit send and let your machine do its thing. So my Cameo has finished cutting the vinyl decals, and now I've taken it off of my cutting mat and cut these apart a little bit so that they're individual names. Some of the pieces I had a couple names on one piece. And so the next step is going to be to weed these. One thing I do like about Oracal vinyl is it's super easy to weed. I like to use just an X-Acto knife. And so what I'll do is, because I like to just poke it, and then I can kind of twist and tilt it up. See if you can see the vinyl. I'm just poking it and then tilting it up, and then I can grab it from there and start pulling off the excess vinyl. Super easy. That's one of the things that's great and that I think is great about Oracal. Other vinyls weed just as well. I just happen to have Oracal because it's easy to get and it's fairly inexpensive. I also like using an X-Acto knife because if I do need to cut off some excess, I have a blade. I can cut the excess vinyl off right away. In this case, probably not going to be needed. And then with an X-Acto knife that has such a sharp, fine point, I can easily weed out small items like the center of that A. So that's that one there. So go ahead and do the rest of these here as well. Once you've got everything weeded and ready to go, the next step is to apply transfer tape onto your decals so that you can then apply them to the ornaments once that's done. So I've already cut out some transfer tape pieces here. I'm just using this clear type plastic. There's also transfer paper, which is just a paper version of this. I believe this is Expression Vinyls. I bought it off Amazon. All the things that the vinyl and the tools I'm using in here in this project, I'll be putting links in the description as well. So this is super easy. I'm just gonna make sure it's big enough to cover the entire decal itself. Put it right over it, and then take a squeegee and smooth it down. Make sure you give firm pressure to make sure that the transfer tape is fully applied to the entire surface of the decal. Once that's done, what I like to do is then just trim off the excess transfer tape that's not necessary anymore, because then it just sticks to other things and can catch on your work. And then just cut that off, get rid of it, get rid of some of this excess here. This is a little bit important when you're getting ready to actually apply it to the ornament, because if you have too much transfer tape, it can actually bind you up a little bit. So we'll do that for the rest of these decals here. All right, so the next step is going to be applying the decal to your ornament. Now this can be a little bit tricky, because if you look, the ornament is a completely three-dimensional round object, while this is a two-dimensional object. So you're going to be trying to apply this flat object over a curved rounded surface. So this one's not too bad, because it's nice and small, nice and short, so it should apply without much issue at all. When you get into bigger ones and you have more of the curvature to work with, then it can be a little bit of a problem. So we'll start with the easy small one here. And so what I like to do is I would just eyeball this. I'm not going to measure anything, and just, I'll put this about where I want it to be, and then I like to tack the center just a little bit. And I just do it lightly. That way, if I need to pull it off, it comes right off without any issue. And so I'll tack it again here, just a little bit like that. All right, about there looks good to me. And then basically press down the center. And because it's curved, you can kind of see right here where it's bowing or bubbling up just a little bit. Not too much of an issue, so just press it down. And you can see I'm just smoothing that down. And then same thing with here. In this case I'm gonna go to the left, and I'm kind of smoothing it out this way first, to the left, and then I'm gonna smooth out the rest of it. Try to follow the curvature of the ornament. I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom, going to the bottom left. Okay. Make sure that's all smoothed out, and then that is completely on the surface of the ornament. And then now I'm going to go to the right side, the S in this case, and I'm going to smooth it out along the equator, if you will, of the bulb or the ornament, and then smooth out the rest. So again, these can be tricky, especially since this is a smaller size bulb. The roundness is more severe in a sense than a bigger one, where you're putting something smaller here. Okay, so now I have it all applied on there. Now carefully peel back your transfer tape. Do it slowly in case it didn't adhere very well, and that way if it does pull up the decal, it doesn't rip it. And so I'm actually kind of, as I peel it, I'm kind of rolling it, if you can see. All right. Boom. And there you go. You've got now a personalized ornament. So let's do another one here. Let's do one that's a little bit bigger, a longer name here, and I can show you if we run into an issue where it starts to bow up, if you will, or bubble around, and it just doesn't want to lay down. What you can do is, you'll see that I have my X-Acto knife here and my scissors, and if there's an issue where you start getting crinkles or wrinkles, you can cut in between the letters. And what that does, if you cut on, in this case, if you cut, for example, here, turn over and cut here, but leave some in the middle, this S is on a pivot, if you will, and you can maneuver it up and down a little bit as you need to. So let's give this a shot here with this one here. And so kind of, again, setting this up, I know my M is the center or the middle of the is the middle of the decal. So I'm just going to tack that lightly, see if I like it. Yep. Then I'm going to go basically just start smoothing it down each direction. So I'm holding up this left side as I'm working my way towards that. And so now I'm going to go press this down. You can see there's a wrinkle in the transfer tape right there. That's excess vinyl because, again, a flat image being applied to a three-dimensional surface creates excess vinyl here, or excess material there. So what I'm doing now is continuing on, smoothing that down. Okay. And so actually I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate what I'm talking about as far as cutting to be able to maneuver this. So be careful when you do it. Cut there. I could already feel that with the amount of material in there, this was starting to, the transfer tape was starting to wrinkle up. So I'm going to cut in between there. Oops. So now you can see this is, excuse me, this is a little bit more maneuverable now. And if I need to see, that's the excess material if I was going to be pressing that down there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to press this down, just like that. And now you'll see what I mean here. You see how there's an overlap between the vinyl, or excuse me, the transfer tape areas there. That's in a sense the excess, and you'll see it on the bottom here. That is that wrinkle there. But instead of the wrinkle binding me up, what I've done is I cut it out so that that wrinkle is in two pieces and it can actually move itself. All right, so now let's work the other way. This isn't so bad where I don't feel like I necessarily need to cut in between each letter. If you do, I've now shown you how you can do that to help you with the application. It may be worth it for you to try a couple times first before actually doing this to see how the vinyl reacts and the transfer tape that you are using, how that reacts. Some transfer tapes are a little bit stretchable, so you can kind of stretch it a little bit around if needed. But give it a couple tries, a couple practice runs before making your actual products that you're doing. Okay, so now I'm just smoothing everything down, making sure that I've got good full contact before I start peeling off the transfer tape. And start peeling off the transfer tape by, in this case, mostly rolling it back. And as I'm rolling it, I'm actually pushing down as I'm rolling it, and that's one last press, if you will, on the decal before pulling off the transfer tape. Now, when you reach the parts that you did cut, be careful because you've reached a compromise point, and then you'll pull on one part and it'll be stuck, released on one area but not on the other. So just be careful when you get to the parts that are cut. All right, and so there is another one. All right, so I'm just going to finish these off, and then we'll get going. All right, so that's it. These are all done. So you can see that they turned out great, and that they were pretty easy to do. Not too much time involved. A little bit of effort, if you will, as far as application of a two-dimensional object onto a three-dimensional object. But hopefully you found this video to be helpful and informative if you're thinking about doing something similar and giving these out as gifts. Something that's kind of unique and personalized to whoever you're going to give it to. So if you like this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and then the little bell for notifications to get any notices if and when I put new content on the channel. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.